You used the word sort of distinctive early on in regards to sort of the quick turnover in the leadership. Was that a result of just the pace of the organization? Is it like changing direction a lot? Like how often is that a productive change of direction versus a counterproductive change?
I think that the turnover was, if I had to sort of point to two or three things, one is that the organization itself was growing very quickly. And so just by definition, when you
Sure.
double the size of the company, then everybody's new.
Yeah.
That means the tenure is low. For people departing, at some level, I think you have to be committed if you want to build something great. If you're looking for a cushy job where you can clock in and clock out, you can collect the paycheck, not worry about work, Tesla and frankly, LightSource is not the right kind of place to be.
Startups are hard. They should be.
If it was easy, then everyone would do it. It's like, it's not an either or. It's like you have to have the right idea at the right timing and you have to work hard.
Yep.
I don't think anyone is lucky enough to hit it right without the grit on execution. I think like Elon, in all the books and manifests, biographies about him, it's widely known that he would fire people and fire them on the spot. Was pretty ruthless about that sometimes, but he's just one person. So he alone could not have enough of an impact to terminate enough people to really make the difference. Changes in direction, they would happen often. I think there is to some degree, a trade-off between speed and stability, right? Of course, you can try to get a little bit off that curve. And we made a lot of mistakes. If you make a mistake and you can course correct and you can do it quickly, that is so much better than taking your sweet time. And then unfortunately, you get a bias because you can measure the cost of making an overly ambitious decision around the Model 3 battery line, which was a very well-known part of the production hell that you had described. There were bad decisions made. There was too much innovation too quickly, and they had to unwind a lot of that and go back to a more standard assembly approach and then layer in innovation over time. Elon, on one of the earnings calls, said people are underrated, humans are underrated. Very weird thing for him to say. Yeah. That's sort of like a cheeky way of saying, hey, look, some of our industrial automation failed and we had to just plug the gap with people. It's not that people are underrated. It's that we just made some missteps. But when I think about the Model 3 production hell and the Model 3 ramp, like, yeah, it took longer than we'd expected. I think that a lot of suppliers were hurting because you communicate, we're going to ramp at a certain speed. They plan for it. And then when you ramp at a slightly slower speed, because you've had to push out your production numbers, they're to some degree stuck holding part of the bag. And Tesla, to some degree, is stuck holding part of the bag. In an alternative universe, it could have all not worked, but it did, and the company pulled through. But when I think about the pain and expenditure and waste of doing that, it's very easy to quantify how much obsolescence and wasted CapEx and blah, blah, blah. But how do we quantify the value of the fact that the Model 3 was brought to market in 3 years instead of 6 years, which is the automotive standard?
Yeah.
It costs $1 billion or $2 billion to develop a vehicle that was able to be sold in market 3 years, not just 3 years more, but 3 years earlier than competition. I feel that automakers now, 14 years later, are just now instituting user experience features that were in the original Tesla Model S. I mean, it took a long time before car companies decided to put fully featured touch screens in their vehicles. First, it was like, hey, this came out. This is a bad idea. Nobody wants it. Then it was like, okay, people kind of want it, but we need to make sure we do it in a really safe, like automotive grade way. And then it's like, we did a bunch of testing and then eventually we put it into a program. Then 6 years later, it's launched the market with a lot of hesitancy and whatever. And you can have your own opinions about whether screens in cars make sense, but it took a long time for other people to catch up. How do you quantify the value of agility and how does that weigh against the cost of churn?
Yeah.
And I would say speed wins. That's my opinion. I think after seeing both Tesla and Waymo, my belief is that speed does win.